Hello, everybody, and welcome to this webinar on what really makes us happy at work. I find this such an interesting question, and I'm so happy that you have decided to join us for this webinar. Just so you know, these slides will be made available to you afterwards, and we will be sharing all of the slides that you're watching, so don't worry about any of that. You will get access to all of that. I'll be showing some slides. I'll be talking to you a little bit. We'll be done in half an hour. I'll be presenting for 25 minutes. And then there will be about 5 minutes for questions at the end. There will be instructions on how to answer, also ask questions in just a second. So let's go. I thought I'd start by introducing myself just a little bit. So in case you have no idea who the heck I am, this is me. My name is Alexander Kjærulf. I'm originally from the IT industry, co-founded an IT company back in 1997 called Enterprise Systems. And now I make people happy at work. I've been doing that for over 10 years, since 2003. My company is called Woohoo! And I want to make this perfectly clear. The company is not called Woohoo, it's called Woohoo! We're based in Copenhagen, Denmark, and we make people happy at work. I have written 4 books about happiness at work, and this one is the first. It's called Happy Hour is 9 to 5, and it's currently out in 9 languages, including Chinese, believe it or not. We speak to companies, corporations, organizations, and conferences around the world. These are just some of our clients where we've done speeches, workshops, management trainings, and we have worked so far in 33 different countries. We go all over the world and talk about happiness at work. And essentially what we do is that we take the science of happiness from these 4 major disciplines, psychology, sociology, neurology, and management science, and we apply that to the workplace to find out how can we create happier workplaces where people actually like to work. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is what is it that actually makes people happy at work? Because a lot of people get this exactly wrong. A lot of people have some very serious misconceptions about what it is that makes us happy or unhappy at work. And I really want to change that. So we're going to go into that. What does the science say actually makes us happy at work? As we're going along, please ask me anything. You can do that on Twitter. This is my Twitter handle, Alex Kjærulf. And then anytime you want to ask me something, you can tweet there. And then at the end, the last 5 minutes, I'm going to do a roundup of some of those questions. And we're going to go into that. That is the plan. So the big question is, of course, what really makes us happy at work? And this has become such an important question because more and more companies are realizing that happy workplaces make more money, okay? Creating a happy workplace is not a matter of it's not about being idealistic or naive. It's actually a very, very sound business decisions, and happy workplaces make more money. I want to show you a couple of examples of people who agree with me. Here's Richard Branson, founder and CEO of Virgin, saying fun is the secret of Virgin's success. And here's another one. Here's Steve Jobs. This is from his graduation speech to the Stanford graduates back in 2004. Where he says the only way to do great work is to love what you do. So this idea that happy workplaces actually make more money is becoming very, very accepted. And there's a lot of research to support this fact that happy workplaces are indeed more profitable. Very briefly, why would this be? Why should we care if our employees are happy? Well, there are 2 major reasons. First of all, it's about employee behavior. And we know that employees who experience positive emotions, who are having a good day, who actually like their jobs, do a much better job. And we know that happy employees are more productive. They get more work done. We know they're more creative. They have more and better ideas. We know they're more motivated. We know they give better customer service, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's the actual employee behavior is much better when people are happy, but also on a number of hard metrics, happy workplaces by far outperform unhappy workplaces. And you can look at things like absenteeism. In a happy workplace, a perfectly normal absenteeism rate is about 2, 3, 4%. In an unhappy workplace, it can be 10%, it can be 15%. I've seen 20% absenteeism rates in some very unhappy workplaces. You also have lower employee turnover. This is not exactly rocket science, okay? When people like their jobs, they stay in that job longer. And of course, you can more easily attract good talent if you are a happy workplace. People will actually be out there saying, you know what, this company is amazing. You should get a job there. It's a really good place to be. So having a happy workplace is a great idea, but how do you create a happy workplace? And this is where a lot of companies get it exactly wrong. The sort of the big thing, the big trend in Danish workplaces for the last many years has been fruit. Okay, fresh fruit in the office. I can't tell you how many. I'm sure 80% of Danish workplaces now have fresh fruit in the office. You know, if you're an employee, you can go down, grab yourself an apple or a pear or whatever. And my question is that really the way to make people happy at work? Is that really what makes a difference? Is that what matters? And no, it's not. You can ask yourself, you know, how many people are going to go home from work today and say, oh my God, I had the greatest day at work. I had 2 apples. And no, fresh fruit doesn't work. Massages, gyms, you know, all of those extra perks and things that companies try to do to make people happy at work. Those are not the things that make a difference. Those are not what make us happy at work. No, it's not about bonuses. It's not about salaries. It's not about raises. It's not about promotions. It's not about titles. So what is it about? What is it that actually makes us happy at work? And here's where the theory is. By the way, what I've noticed is a new trend that a lot of companies are trying. Slides. I think it started when the Google office, the Google place got a slide, and this is one from the Lego headquarters in Denmark. But honestly, is that what's going to make it for a better workplace? No, it's not. So what is? Let me do a little experiment here for a second. Could you think back to a great experience you have had at work? Try thinking of a specific time at work, a specific experience you've had at work in your job where you felt amazing, something that made you really happy at work. Take a moment and see if you can think back to, you know, something that happened yesterday, last week, last month. I hope it doesn't have to be like I was giving a speech for a company and one guy said, oh, I have one. 8 years ago, this happened. So try and think if you can find a specific experience that made you happy at work. And remember that you're going to need that for something in a moment. So a lot of people, as I said, a lot of people think that happiness at work is about, you know, fresh fruit and perks and massages and gyms and slides, you know, and having fun at work. And it really, really isn't. I learned this in a very interesting way a few years ago. I was doing a series of workshops for a company in Denmark, in Copenhagen, called SOS International. And SOS International they're a call center for travel insurance. So people have a travel insurance. If they're on vacation, they're traveling somewhere, and they have, you know, some kind of problem. You know, your car breaks down, you're skiing and you break your leg. Anything that goes wrong on your trip, on your travels, you call this company and they can help you out if you have travel insurance. They're on the phones 24/7, 365, answering calls from Scandinavian clients all around the world. And we were doing a series of workshops for this company called SOS International. And in every single workshop, we asked them the same question. You know, tell us about this, the question you just answered. Tell me about a situation where you felt great at work, a situation where you were very happy at work, where you felt amazing. And we couldn't believe the answer. We got the same answer from all of the groups we had through the workshop. And they all said the same thing. They said, we were happiest at work right after the tsunami in Thailand and Indonesia in 2004. And you may remember this natural disaster that actually claimed a couple of 100,000 lives, and of course affected every single person who was traveling in that region. And their clients would call in with the most horrific stories. You know, some people had lost everything they brought with them on the trip. Some people were seriously hurt. Some people had lost family members. And they would call into this company and they would say, you know, this is the problem, can you help? And these people were working so hard. They worked 14, 15, 16-hour shifts. Everybody was on the phone because so many people called in. And they told me that they had never been happier at work. They had never felt more fulfilled. They had never felt better in the workplace. Why? Because they could help. They could help people who really, really needed it. They could make a difference for their clients. And I think this demonstrates very clearly that happiness at work is not about fruit or foosball tables or slides or massages. It's about something else. And let's look at what that is. Let's look at exactly what it is that makes us happy at work. And I do believe it comes down to two factors. First of all, oh, and by the way, the good time to remind you that if you have any questions, tweet them at me at Alex Kjove, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. What makes us happy at work? If it's not massages and fruit and fitness and all of that, it's about two things. First thing, results. Getting results at work feels amazing. And when we say results, we're thinking about the situation where you know you are doing a good job. You are making a difference. You're good at what you do. You feel proud of your efforts, and you're doing meaningful work. You can see that what you are doing is helping people who need it. It's helping your clients, your customers, your coworkers, whoever, okay? Let's say you're a nurse and you can see your patients getting better. That is meaningful results. Let's say you're a school teacher and you can see your students learning new things, having fun in school and getting good grades. That is meaningful results, and meaningful results makes us feel great. And it's one of the major sources, two major sources of happiness at work. This is an absolute requirement to be happy at work. I don't see how you can be happy in a job that you're not very good at. There is a fascinating book that I want to recommend on this topic, and it's this one. It's called The Progress Principle by Teresa Amabile and Stephen Kramer. And it examines exactly this factor. You know, what is it that makes us, why are we happy at work when we get that feeling of progress, when we get somewhere? And here's one of the main conclusions from the book, which is that of all the things that can boost emotions, motivation, and perceptions during a workday, the single most important is making progress in meaningful work. Even a small win can make all the difference in how people feel and perform. And I really think this underscores the fact that this feeling that I am good at my job, I get results, I make a difference, is one of the major factors that make us happy at work, and an absolute requirement for happiness at work. But it's not the only one. There is one more. So results make us really happy, and the other one is relationships. Good relationships at work are vital. And what we mean by that is a good relationship with your immediate coworkers, absolutely crucial. A good relationship with the people you spend most of your workday with really has an impact. Probably the most important relationship in the workplace is your relationship with your immediate manager. If you have a good relationship with your immediate manager, there's a good chance you're happy at work. If you don't, I can pretty much guarantee you're going to be unhappy and miserable in the workplace. Good relationships in the work are absolutely vital. I can't stress this enough. I'm not saying we all have to be best friends in the workplace, but just this feeling that I belong, people accept me, people like me, people appreciate me for who I am is absolutely vital. The scariest study I have ever seen in this field was an Israeli study that looked at relationships in the workplace. And the study found that people who have low social support in the workplace, over a 20-year period, had a mortality rate that was twice as high as people with good social support. Twice as high risk of dying if you have low social support in the workplace. That is the scariest thing I have ever seen in this field, and it just underscores how important these relationships are to us. There is a fascinating book that examines this aspect of happiness at work. It's called The Southwest Airlines Way by Jody Hoffer-Gittell, subtitled Using the Power of Relationships to Achieve High Performance. And she basically looks at Southwest Airlines, which is of course a very happy and very successful airline in the US, and figures out how they have created great relationships in their workplace. And this is something they do very consciously, very deliberately. and very effectively, by the way. My favorite example is in the book. She talks about if two employees, two coworkers at Southwest Airlines have a conflict, they'll actually, managers are trained how to handle that, and they'll invite the two people who have a conflict, they'll invite them to a meeting called a Come to Jesus meeting, where people can actually work out their differences. My favorite episode in the book is she's interviewing one of the employees at Southwest Airlines, and they're talking about the relationships in the airline and how people kind of like each other. And at one point, this employee, he points at another Southwest Airlines employee who's walking by, and he says, you see that guy? I don't know that guy, but I like him. So those are the two major factors we need in order to create a happy workplace: results and relationships. This is what we must give employees every single day. When you come home from a work day and you think, I did a great job today. I could achieve my targets. I could make a difference. My work was meaningful. I could see the purpose of what I do. And there was such a great mood in the workplace today. Everybody was smiling, friendly, cheerful, relaxed. I felt appreciated and liked. That's when you come home and you've had a great day. Results and relationships, that is where we need to focus, okay? And of course, a lot of workplaces don't, and a lot of people don't. Take a moment to think back to earlier when you were thinking of a situation that made you happy at work. And you can ask yourself, the situation you came up with, the situation you thought of, was that about results, doing a good job, making a difference, being good at what you do? Or was it about relationships, liking the people you work with, being there for them helping you out? Or was it a little bit of both? And we do this exercise every time we're giving a speech, and by far in the most case, 80 or 90%, the stories they come up with, what really makes them happy at work is results and relationships. That is where we need to focus. Now, I think it's very important to realize that, of course, everybody is different, okay? People are different, and this is a very underappreciated fact. And it's very important to realize that some employees will be results-oriented, which means that they are especially happy when they know they're doing a good job, okay? Other people are relationship-oriented, and of course, they like to do a good job. That's obvious, but more than that, they feel happy at work when they feel appreciated as people, when they know that they belong and they're accepted as human beings. And it's incredibly important to cater to both, so that when you create a happy workplace, you do something both for the results-oriented people and for the relationship-oriented people. And I find that in a lot of cases, people focus on that. People do a lot of things that are relationship-oriented. So you'll have, team building events, you'll have a Christmas lunch, you'll have a summer party, you'll have a bowling event. Maybe you'll have, a Friday bar in some workplaces, and a lot of that ends up catering only to the people who are relationship-oriented, and none of this really speaks to people who are results-oriented. So it's important to address both of these factors. Let me go back to slides here. So we are all different, incredibly important to remember, and you can try and see if you are mostly results-oriented or mostly relationship-oriented. Now, what about let's take it, because it's an important question. What about salaries, right? What about a raise? Does that make people happy? What about a bonus, a perk? We talk about perks, promotions, that kind of thing. Don't they make us happy? And research shows very clearly that they really don't. That's not to say that the salary or bonuses and that kind of thing that they don't matter. They do matter, because they have the power to make us unhappy. If you feel that your salary is not fair, that will make you unhappy, okay? If you feel that you deserved a bonus but you didn't get it, that can absolutely make you frustrated and miserable and unhappy at work. So all of these do matter for our happiness at work, but only in the sense that they can make us unhappy. And they cannot make us happy. I can't stress this clearly enough, that once you do get a fair salary, you cannot make people even happier by paying them more for their work. Maybe you're thinking, sure, but I'll try it anyway. And I can perfectly understand that. But it's important to know that all of these are important because they can make us unhappy. they cannot make us happy. Why is that? This is very interesting. The reason, there are three reasons why none of these factors can make us happy at work. First of all, for instance, a raise doesn't make you happy, it makes you satisfied, okay? And satisfaction and happiness are not the same thing. Satisfaction is what you think about your job. Happiness at work is what you feel about your job. Secondly, there's something called hedonic adaptation. And hedonic adaptation basically means that you get used to anything nice, okay? So let's say you get a raise of $1,000. That'll make you feel good for a little while. But the next raise of $1,000 won't give you as much pleasure. That's hedonic adaptation. And in fact, psychologists talk about the hedonic treadmill, where you're always chasing the next pleasure, the next pleasure, the next rush, the next high, and you need more and more to get it. And the third reason why those factors don't really make us happy is that they invite comparison with others, okay? We know from studies that when people evaluate their salary to find out if they're satisfied with the salary, they never do it based on the actual number. They always do it based on a comparison with what other people are getting, okay? So none of this actually has the power to make us happy. It can at most make us satisfied, and that is not the same thing as happiness. What does make us happy? Results and relationships. And this is something we have to do. This is something we have to create consciously. And I want to give you some ideas on how to do this very specifically. Results. How can you do this on a day-to-day basis? How can you give your employees and yourself, for that matter, this feeling of results? Focus on what you get done. This is so important. In so many workplaces and teams, all of the focus is on the work we have not done. Every time there's a meeting, every time you get an email, every time you get a phone call, every time you talk to anyone, all you ever talk about is the work you haven't done. And there's very little focus on the work you have done. And this creates the feeling that we're always behind, that we're not doing a good enough job. So is there some way you can highlight and focus on the work you get done? Could you start your department meetings by talking about the work you've completed in the last week, for instance? This gives people a feeling of results. Praise and recognition, absolutely vital. It's so important to praise people for the good work they do. And this is something we can all do, both managers and employees. Meaning and purpose, create meaning and purpose. Make sure that people know not just what they're doing, but why they're doing it, and why this is important, why this is actually helping someone. Absolutely crucial. And finally, celebrate success. If something goes right, if a project is completed on time, if something works really well, celebrate with the team, celebrate with your coworkers, celebrate with the whole organization. This is a great way to create that feeling of results. What about relationships in practice? Here's something incredibly simple we can all do. Say a cheerful good morning to the people you work with. Instead of just coming in, sitting down and start working, actually take the time to say a cheerful good morning to 4 or 5 of your coworkers before you actually start working. Such a simple thing actually does make a little bit of a difference. One I really like is for managers to take 5 minutes every day. We call it Take 5. Every day as a manager, take 5 minutes with one of your employees, just to go up and create that connection, to reinforce that relationship. And the final one that I really want, that I really love, and I'd love for you to try this out and let me know how it works, is we call it random acts of workplace kindness. And this is where you go up to someone else in the workplace and you just say, hey, then you do something nice for them. And it can be tiny little things. It can be, if you're going to get yourself a cup of coffee, why not bring someone else a cup of coffee, someone who didn't ask for it? It's something very small like that can actually make a massive difference and really make someone else happy at work. I've seen some great examples of that. Is that something you could do? Please try it and let me know how it goes. Why do random acts of workplace kindness work so well? It turns out there are some neurological studies that show that when something nice happens to us, the pleasure center in our brain lights up. It's called the nucleus accumbens, the reward center, VNA it's called. And it turns out that when something nice happens to you, that center lights up. But if it's something nice that surprises you, that you did not know was coming, then that center shows even more activity. And that would indicate that, you know, nice things that happen to us makes us happy, but nice things that surprise us make us even happier. We are supposed to go into questions now, and I'm looking at the Twitter stream and not seeing a single question, which is awesome. I must be very good at this. I'm sure that's because I'm doing such an awesome job. I am seeing some questions on the chat stream. No questions, just a lot of great comments. That is awesome. So here's what I want to end this with. This is where we need to focus. If you want to be happier in your job, you won't get that by chasing the next promotion, the next raise. You won't get that by getting fresh fruit or a slide or a foosball table in the office. I have nothing against those things. Those are all fine. But if we think those are what make us happy, we're getting it exactly wrong. And I've seen so many examples of that. One of our clients here in Denmark is a big pharmaceutical company, and they do everything you can imagine for their employees. They get a great salary, they get lots of education and training. And if you can think of a perk, any perk you can imagine, they have it, okay? So you'd think, well, that's gotta be an awesome workplace. That's gotta be a really, really happy workplace. And it turns out that it's not, because even though people have all of those things, they're still asking for more, and they're still complaining about whatever it is they do have. I talked to an employee who works there, and she was telling me that people are getting new desks, you know, the kind of desks that raise up and down with a little electric motor, and people are complaining. Somebody said, you know what, this is an outrage. My new desk is 4 inches narrower than my old desk. This is an outrage. And this just shows very, very clearly that you can't really create a happy workplace with any of those perks and any of those things. They're nice enough, nothing wrong with that. But what really makes us happy at work is results and relationships. That's what you need to create for yourself in your own work life if you want to be happy at work. That's what we need to create in our workplaces. Make sure that every single employee goes home most days knowing, today I did a great job together with great people. And I hope I've given you some inspiration on how that can be done. If you want more information on all of this happiness at work, there are a couple of sources I can recommend. There's our newsletter. You can find that on our blog at positivesharing.com, and we send out the newsletter about, you know, probably about every other week, with lots of tips and tricks and ideas on how you can create a happier workplace. And also, I do want to recommend my book, Happy Hours 9 to 5. I hear good things. People tell me good things about it. And also, if you want to watch a fun little video on happiness work, we have this called What the Heck is Arbejdsglæde? We are going to send out the materials to everybody who signed up for the workplace. You're going to get the whole webinar as a video. You're going to get the slides, obviously, and we're also going to link to this video right here. I want to thank you for joining us for this. This has been absolutely, I hope you've liked it. I've had a lot of fun doing this. I hope you got something out of it that you can use to create results and relationships in your work so that you can be even happier at work. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope I see you some other time. Have a great day.